Hey guys, we're moving forward with these highly conceptual or unusual, if you will, ACT math questions that I've been working on for quite a while with other videos. I've selected these because many of the students that I've worked with in the past have seemed to struggle with these particular questions the most on this June 2021 released exam. So perhaps you too, if you've been using this June 2021 released exam, are struggling with these math questions. And hopefully this will help you. That leads me to the next thought. One of our purposes is to help young adults who do not have any help outside of school to study for the ACT and or the SAT. And one way that you and I can participate in helping those people is for you to team up with us to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That way we will both be doing something good for humanity. And that's really important to me to make sure that it gets done. Now, keeping that in mind, let's move on to the first question. All right. So the first question presents this function, and it's focusing on the range of the function, not the domain. So we're going to be concerned with the y-axis when it comes to the coordinate plane. Now that function looks complicated, but it's not. Just break it down into very basic parts that you're already been exposed to. For instance, you know what the graph of x squared looks like. Well, if you put a negative sign in front of x squared, what does that do to the graph? Think of it from that perspective, and then you'll be able to get to this answer much easier. Okay, so here's what we have. Let me get my pen set up here so I can write. So here's what we have. We have f of x is equal to negative x minus 3 squared plus 4. Okay. Well, let's just suppose that was negative x squared. So that means if that was just negative x squared, we would have the graph opening downward. Same thing here. Who cares what's in the parentheses? Well, what does the plus 4 do? Well, the plus 4, if x is 3, so if I make x equal to 3 and I subtract 3 and I square it, you're going to get 0. So therefore, f of x is going to be equal to 4. Well, y is going to be equal to 4. So here's your graph. Here's your coordinate plane. Here's 4. So you know that the greatest y value must be a 4. And because of the negative sign right here, it's going to turn our graph downward like this. So therefore, we're going to have all of these numbers from 4 and decreasing part of our range. So our range would be described as negative infinity to 4, and we're going to include 4. And we're going to use the open bracket for negative infinity to imply it continues to go. So that's going to be answer choice G. All right, next question. So Noki made a scale drawing of his rectangular classroom. The classroom is 7.5 meters by 9 meters. So we got a classroom that's 7.5 meters by 9 meters. And they told us it's a rectangle. Now, Noki made the length, in his scale drawing, Noki made the length of the shorter side of the classroom of 9 centimeters. So 9 centimeters. What is the length in centimeters of the longer side? So we're looking for X centimeters. Well, we have a proportional relationship set up here. So we can say 7.5 meters related to the 9 centimeters is equal to 9 meters over X centimeters. We can then cross multiply and divide because this is a proportion. So you get 7.5 meters times X centimeters is equal to 9 meters times 9 centimeters. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this for X. So X centimeters is equal to 9 meters times 9 centimeters divided by 7.5 meters. So notice the meters and the meters cancel, and it's going to leave centimeters. So 9 times 9 is 81, and that's in centimeters, over 7.5. So 81 divided by 7.5 is roughly, let me put this up here, 10.8 centimeters, which is going to be answer choice C. Now, the ACT loves to set up questions in the first 30, basically, that are proportional to one another. Don't forget that math ideology, because you can definitely use it in the last half of the math test from 31 to 60. Okay, so let's move to the next question. All right, so this is a pretty interesting question. Got to take this one step at a time. One number is 25% of a second number. So I'm going to try to make this as clear as possible. I'm going to start underneath the question. So first, one number is 25% of the second number. So the second number times 0.25 gives us that one number. Now notice they don't tell us what that one number is. So since we're talking about percentages, we can define that one number as any number we want it to be. So I'm going to let that one number be 20. I just chose it. And you can do this because we're working with percentages. Okay, so the next thing it says, and the second number is 70% of the third number. All right, so the next thing it says, the second number is 70% of the third number. So we've got some third number times 70% times 0.70. That's going to be equal to the second number. Okay, so we can figure out what the second number is by using the first equation up here. With that being said, since our one number is 20, we can rewrite equation number 1 and say the second number is equal to 20 divided by 0.25. Now that 20 divided by 0.25 is going to be 80. So now we know what the second number is. So therefore, to get the third number, that's going to be equal to 80 divided by 0.70. And 80 divided by 0.70 is 114.28. Okay, so we got our second and third number. Now let's finish the question. The first number is what percent of the third number? So the first number was 20. So first number divided by the third number. The first number was 20. Our third number was 114.28. Just round that to 114. 20 divided by 114 is 17.5%. Answer choice A. Now I could have substituted A, B for second number and third number, but I chose to try to keep this as closely aligned to the words used in the question to hopefully help you follow this better. But I realize there are people out there that can just substitute variables and keep track of it very easily. All right, next question. Okay, so we have a rectangle with an area of 30 square inches, has length and width in inches that are both integers. So we're dealing with rectangles. Which of the following cannot be the perimeter in inches? So you know that the area, the first thing that you know is that the area is going to be 30 square inches. What's going on with my thing here? Sorry. Okay. Now, which of the following cannot be the perimeter in inches of the rectangle? So perimeter and area are being related here. What we need to do is figure out different lengths and widths that will produce an area of 30. Well, the first one we can do can be very simple, 5 by 6. So 6 times 5 is 30, right? Well, the perimeter here would be 6, 5, and 5. And the perimeter here would be equal to 22. Now we're looking for which of the following cannot be the perimeter. So we found that this one works. So F is not our answer. The next one you can do is 10 and 3, right? So that's a little bit larger. So that's an area of 30. So we have 10, 10, and 3, and 3. So we have 10 and 10 is 20, and 3 and 3 is 6. So we have 26. So G is not our answer. The next thing we would have is 15 multiplied by 2. So we can make one side 2 and one side 15. And that gives us an area of 30. And all the sides around is 15, 15, 2, and 2, which gives us 34. So therefore, H is not our answer. And then we could be 30 and 1. So 30 plus 30 plus 2 is 62. So 62 is not our answer. So we've identified 22, 26, 34, and 62. So F, G, H, and K is not our answers. The only thing left is J. There you go. Let's move on. So the volume of a solid object is equal to the volume of the water. It displaces when completely submerged in water. So this is a displacement problem. A solid object will be placed in a rectangular tank that has a base of 35 by 30. Okay, so a rectangular tank. A solid object will be placed in a rectangular tank that has a base of 35 centimeters by 30 centimeters. So, okay, we got 35 by 30. And is filled with water to a uniform depth of 13 centimeters. So here's my water. And the depth of the water is 13. So we've got 13 by 35 by 30. When the object is completely submerged, the new depth of the water in the tank is 15. So now our water volume increases to 15. What is the volume in cubic centimeters of the object? So everything's in centimeters already, so that's good. Okay, so the initial volume, V sub I, is just going to be 35 times 30 times 13. When you multiply those three numbers together, you get 13,650 centimeters cubed. Now, when we submerge the object in the water, the depth of the water changes to 15. So, final volume, 35 times 30 multiplied by 15. When you multiply those three numbers together, you get 15,750 centimeters cubed. What is the volume in cubic centimeters of the object? Subtract the two numbers. So 15,750 minus 13,650. That's going to give you 2,100. Or answer choice E. All right, next question. Okay, so we got a triangle with a really large angle in it. And notice in the note, it says the cosine of 127 degrees is negative 0.6. And the sine of 127 degrees is 0.8. They're giving those to you for a reason. In the figure below, the distance between two pairs of cities are shown. as well as an angle formed at Ewing, which has a measure of 127 degrees. Which of the following values is closest to the distance in miles from Dearborn to Fergus? Okay, so we got a large angle in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write on the figure. Let me change my pen tip to red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to label Ewing capital C. I'm going to label Dearborn A. And I'm going to label Fergus capital B. That means the corresponding sides will be the lowercase letters. So the corresponding side of angle C is what looks like the hypotenuse. B is 80 and lowercase a is 120. Let me change my pen tip back to white. Now we're going to use the law of cosines to figure this out. C squared is equal to a squared plus b squared minus 2 AB times the cosine of angle C. Now just substitute your numbers into the equation because we want to find side C. And the law of cosines is set up for us to do that. So A becomes 120 squared. B becomes 80 squared. Minus 2 times 120 times 80. Now the cosine of 127. And the cosine of 127 in the note says it's negative 0.6. Okay, now just do your math. 120 squared plus 80 squared is going to give us 20,800. Now, a -2 times another negative over here is going to make everything positive, okay? So this sign is going to become positive. -2 times 120 times 80 times a negative 0.6 is going to come out to 11,520. Now remember, this is still all equal to c squared. So 20,800 and 11,520 gives you 32,320. We need c, so we're going to take the square root of both sides. When you take the square root of 32,320, it comes out to a decimal equivalent of 179.7. So you can round that to 180. And that would give you answer choice D as in dog. The most important thing here is labeling of your triangle to keep your sides and angles related to one another. All right. So the next question is an ellipse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to a red pen color again because I want to write some information on the figure. You always want to know where the center is. So the center is going to be 2, -3. Now the question says, one of the following equations represents the ellipse shown below. which one is it? Okay, so the center is 2, -3. In the ellipse equation, let me get my white pen tip back. The ellipse equation, the numerator portion of it refers to the circle portion of the ellipse. So notice we have 2, -3 for the center. So our x value is a 2. It's a positive 2. So it's going to be x minus 2 squared. Notice that our y portion of that point is -3. So that's going to imply that our y value is going to be a +3 squared. And the reason why is because the formula for the standard form of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. So it's normally a negative sign for your y value here. And since your y value in your point is already negative, it changes it to a positive sign. Okay, let's move on. So we've got the numerator portion of the ellipse. So we know we should have x minus 2 squared and y plus 3 squared. And they're all going to be equal to 1 because of the standard form of the ellipse equation. And this is always going to be a plus sign. Now we need to figure out the denominator portion of the ellipse equation we're looking for. Now notice that the major axis is along the y-axis. So let me write in red here. The major MJR is along the y-axis, and the minor is along the x-axis. Okay, let me get back to my pen color of white. Now, if we count from the center on our y values up to the point 2, 2, we're going to go 3 plus another 2. That's a total of 5. So that's a total of 5. That's along the y-axis. So that's going to give us a 5 squared. Now, if we come back to the center and we count across our x-axis to either -1, -3, or to 5, -3. So from 2 to 5 is 3. So that's going to give us our x value of 3 squared. Now you can rewrite this equation as saying x minus 2 squared over 3 squared, which is 9, plus y plus 3 squared over 25 is equal to 1. And therefore, we found our solution, which is going to be answer choice D, as in dog. Okay, one more question. This is a pretty neat question. And they say if 2 raised to the x power is 7 and 2 raised to the y power is 14, then what is the exponents x minus y equal to? So it's very important to realize we're dealing with the exponents. So think about it from that standpoint. How do we subtract exponents. So the first thing that you know is that means we must be dividing them. So 2x over 2y. That permits us to subtract the exponents because we're in the same basis. That's the first realization. Now, let's carry it out further. I'm going to move my explanation down just a little to right here. It's going to be a long explanation. So 2x to 2y. That's the same thing as saying 7 over 14. Well, notice you can reduce 7 over 14 to 1/2. So we know 2 raised to the x power divided by 2 raised to the y power is equal to 1/2. Therefore, we can say that 2 raised to the x minus y is equal to 1/2. Okay, now we can rewrite this 1/2 as 2 raised to the -1. We have our exponentials in the same basis of 2. So therefore, we can pull our exponents out and say x minus 1 is x minus y, x minus y is equal to -1. So therefore, your answer choice is going to be H. Okay, this was a quick summary of some of the questions that the majority of the students that I work with seem to struggle with the most. They do present some complex thoughts. And if you were struggling with these particular questions, I hope this has helped you. Please keep in mind that one of our main purposes is to reach out and find young adults who don't have help outside of school. I'm hoping that the questions that I select will at least be helpful to all of you. And if you would please like, share, and if you would please like, share, and subscribe, hopefully you and I can work together as a team to find those young adults that need help. For all of you that are studying for the ACT this year, whenever it is for you, whatever test date you've chosen, I wish you all the best and keep aiming for the stars. You guys have a great day.